Explanation of procedures. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. For those not familiar with the board process, a brief explanation. The sequence will be as follows. The appeal will be heard first. Other business of the board will follow the hearing of appeals. You're welcome to stay for the entire process, but you're not required to do so. All who testify or speak before the board will be sworn in. This is either done as a group or individually. Anyone addressing the board is requested to use the speaker stand directly in front of me. Please give your name and address for the record. Our meetings are recorded, and anyone speaking could be cross-examined by an attorney. All documents, photographs, and other evidence presented for each case may be accepted by the board. The chairman, myself, will rule whether the additional items being offered will be accepted or rejected. The person representing each case also may withdraw a document. The zoning administrator or staff member will present a brief summary or statement for each of appeal. Once the staff presentation is complete, the appellant will have the opportunity to present their case. Following the appellant's presentation, the chairman will ask for anyone in favor or opposed to the appeal to speak. That will be the public portion. And in some instances, time limit will be garnished. I don't see that going to be an issue tonight. Next, the motion will be made to close the public portion. Then the individual board members will ask questions of anyone that has spoken or the applicant. The decision of the board will be made once a motion and second has been made by the member of the board, and whether it's approved or denied, the decision of the board is effective 30 days from the vote. Finally, with respect, we want to make sure that the respect is garnered. This is a semi-judicial court. If we feel that you're being disrespectful, we will ask you to leave, and if necessary, we'll have the police escort you out. I don't expect that to happen tonight, and I appreciate your time. Roll call vote, please.
Mr. Bartolt, Ms. Owens, Mr. Shupp,
Here.
Mr. Sydow,
Here.
Mr. Roberto.
Present. And as we have an absence, and we have one of our alternates available tonight, we'll ask him to be seated. David DeMoss. While he is getting a seat, we'll go ahead and move on because we have plenty of people here. It looks like they want to speak. We'll make sure we don't waste your time. So if you plan on speaking this evening, if you please stand and raise your right hand. Even if you don't think you're going to speak, you might want to stand and swear yourself in, because what's going to happen is something's going to spark your brain, and then you're going to want to say it. And if you haven't been sworn in, we got to get you sworn in. So if you've signed in, that's perfect too. So if you swear or affirm you tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth before the Board of Zoning Appeals, say I do. Thank you. And notice two people have just joined us. Do you plan on speaking this evening, either one of you? Do you plan on speaking this evening for the case, either one of the cases presented tonight? Okay. We're just giving you an opportunity for you to sign in. Everybody's going to be seated. All right. Yeah, I will get to that in a second, but yes, I agree. So we've done our swearing in. We've got 3 cases on the tonight, and 2 of the cases are actually the same address. And so I believe the board would like to make a motion to hear both of those cases at the same time rather than split it with the additional case. Do we have a motion to that effect?
Yes, I can motion to hear BZA 24-20 and BZA-24-22.
Okay. Motion's been made. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second's been made. Roll call vote, or any discussion? Roll call vote.
Mr. DeMoss,
Aye.
Mr. Shupp,
Aye.
Mr. Sydow,
Here.
Mr. Roberto.
Yes. So we will listen to BZA 24-20. This is for a variance at 9720 Colerain Avenue, as well as BZA 24-22, variance for 9720 Colerain Avenue. Does the staff have a presentation?
I do.
Thank you.
Case 1 tonight is BZA 24-20. This is at 9720 Colerain Avenue. This is a variance. There are 2 variances. Starting this year, we hear variances in separate case numbers, which explains the 22 that we're going to hear as well. The parcel number is in the packet, and it's in the B2 General Business Zoning District. The applicant is Carrie Silsby, and the property owner is Class Road Partners. The first variance that we'll hear is a case for a setback. So prior to July 2024, a half-price bookstore operated at the site subject to this case. The future use of this site is being proposed as Bank of America. While the vast majority of Bank of America's plans meet the requirements of the Colerain Township zoning resolution, the site fails to meet the required setbacks for the site. A 50-foot front yard setback is required, and the plans call for a 26.5-foot front yard setback. In order to proceed with the development of the site, a variance will need to be granted for the setbacks. This is the site in question. So it's that building, diamond-shaped building in the middle. That's currently the Half-Price Books building, which will be demolished if these plans go through. This is also not 50 feet from the property line, which is an argument that the applicant made. However, when this building is demolished, we would require the site to go back into conformance. So the current legally non-conforming status that Half-Price Books holds no weight in whether or not Bank of America should be allowed to be there. This is a satellite aerial imagery with a star over the building that currently exists and a flag showing the site location. This is a more detailed site plan, and all of these are in your packets. This is a site plan as well. This shows Colerain Avenue on the left side of the screen. Springdale will be to the north. This is an elevation of two sides of the building. It's a very modern building, and this is the building in question that would be 26.5 feet from Colerain Avenue. So the zoning issue we have, as stated, is in the B2 General Business District, a 50-foot front yard setback is required, and that's in Section 8.3 Site Development Standards. Its staff findings are based on the Duncan factors, a set of factors we look at to decide the merit behind a variance request. As always, my three most important are highlighted, and I'll read those. All of them are in your packets. Number two, it's staff's opinion the request is not substantial in nature. Number three, it's staff's opinion the essential character of the neighborhood would not be substantially altered as a result of granting the variance due to the very heavy business nature of that corner. And number seven, it's staff's opinion the spirit and intent behind the zoning resolution would be observed and substantial justice would be done by granting with the proper conditions of approval the requested variance. So for that reason, staff recommendation is approval with conditions. Those conditions being that they connect to the sidewalk. Number one, a sidewalk connection including a crosswalk shall be made between the existing sidewalk on Colerain Avenue and the front door of the building. The justification behind that is if you want to be closer to Colerain Avenue, I think you should be part of Colerain Avenue, and that includes the sidewalk. And in that same vein as number two, one parking area island shall be provided between every 6 spaces that are shown on the landscape plan. That's not very many of the spaces. That's not all the way across the entire plaza there. It's just the immediate spaces around. And the same kind of justification exists. And that is that if we have a goal in Colerain Township through our comprehensive plan to green up Colerain Avenue, then we should require a building that wants to be just 25 feet away to participate in that process. Number three, the following plantings are required in the planting area islands. I'll read this, but it relates to number two. Shade trees shall be the primary plant materials used in the parking area islands and landscaped areas. Excuse me. Ornamental trees, shrubs, hedges, and other plant materials can be used to supplement the shade tree plantings, but must not create visibility concerns for automotives and pedestrians. 1 shade tree is required every parking area island or landscaped area. And the remaining area of the parking area island must be planted with shrubs, ground cover, perennials, or ornamental grasses. Mulch is required to fill in the planting areas for early growth protection until the ground cover is established and covers the planting area. It's encouraged that mulch bare areas for 3 to 5 years or until the plant material is fully established in the parking islands. And this comes directly from verbiage from our new zoning resolution that is likely to be adopted on September 10th. With that, I do have a picture. So let me get my pointer. So the reason I included this in the packet, if the pointer will show up. Okay, well, anyway, on the left side of the building along Colerain Avenue, you see the sidewalk. And you see the sidewalk end right there. So anyone who wants to go into this plaza or to the new bank is going to have to walk where traffic is turning out of that plaza, which is extremely dangerous to people walking, riding their bike, and people driving. So the rationale with the sidewalk about the building being close and should be part of the avenue, it also fits because it would increase safety in the area. And with that, I turn it back over to the board.
Thank you. Any questions for staff? I had a couple. So we're not doing like in kind to the across the street where we're doing the light poles then? We're not making that recommendation?
I didn't make a recommendation about light poles,
Okay.
but you guys can. If you'd like. Condition, so to say.
I mean, it'd be nice to have the same look all the way down both sides of the street. So.
Okay, yeah, so that could be a condition to approval if you choose to approve it.
And they own this, well, I'll ask that question. Any other questions for staff? Fire department was involved, and they can get around this building?
To my knowledge, we have not met with fire department about this development.
The last building would have been a problem.
Okay.
All right, applicant present? Will come and give your presentation?
Good evening, Nick Stoffinger, 3453 Darby Glen Boulevard, Hilliard, Ohio.
Thank you.
I think staff laid out the presentation and the variances, or sorry, that variance. Well, there's not much more to add to it. The conditions seem reasonable. Happy to answer any questions that you guys have.
Okay, don't have any at this present time. We may ask in a minute. Thank you. Anyone else speaking in favor? Anyone speaking in opposition? Of the bank? Okay, I see none. Can we have a motion to close the public portion? Motion's been made. Do we have a second? Second's been made. Any discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Mr. DeMoss,
Aye.
Mr. Shupp,
Aye.
Mr. Sydow, Mr. Roberto.
Yes. David, why don't you start it off tonight, Mr. Boss?
What am I starting off? I don't have any questions.
Okay, well, we'll go to the other end.
Sorry about this.
Mr. Sydow, do you have any questions?
No, sir, I do not.
Mr. Shupp?
Nope.
All right, and I'll ask the questions. Applicant, you wanna come up, back up here? You kinda heard me reference Colerain Avenue, and to the right side of Colerain Avenue, if we're going south, we see some light poles and some decorations along that way. Are you agreeable to doing something similar on your side of the street?
That is something I would have to ask the owner, as this will be a lease.
Okay, so you're not owning the property, and the owner's not, are you not representing the owner then? You're just representing the opportunity?
Yes.
Okay. I have no other questions then. And you're okay with the staff's recommendations with the green space then?
Yep.
You don't have to run that by the owner?
No, we already talked about those. Yep.
I have no further questions. Do we have anyone who would like to make a motion? You can be seated. Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve staff recommendations 1, 2, and 3.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded, or you need a second?
I'll second it.
Second's been made. Discussion? See none? Roll call vote.
Mr. DeMoss,
Yes.
Mr. Shupp,
Yes.
Mr. Sydow, Mr. Roberto.
Yes. That portion's been approved. Now we'll go to portion number 2. So staff have a presentation, say your address.
Okay, so this is the other part of the variance. BZA 2422 at the same place, 9720 Colerain Avenue. The parcel number is in the packet. It's B2 General Business District. The applicant is present, Carrie Silsby and team, and Klaus Road Partners is the property owner. The zoning issue in this case is the maximum illumination across the property is an average of 2-foot candles is supposed to be, that is the regulation. Areas of the proposed bank are much brighter. So this isn't very useful to show the photometric plan on the screen because we can't see what any of the numbers are. I did zoom in just to show that some of them are much brighter. And I think that the logic behind this is it's a bank. It's for safety reasons, so we're calling this safety photometric plan. So staff findings to that effect are listed on the screen based on the Duncan factors. They're in your packet. Number 2, it's staff's opinion, the request is substantial in nature. It is very bright. Number 3, it's staff's opinion, the essential character would not be substantially altered, however. And number 7, it's staff's opinion the spirit and the intent behind the zoning resolution would be observed and substantial justice would be done by granting the requested variance. For that reason, staff recommendation is approval with no conditions.
Any questions for staff? Applicant, we want to talk about it?
Really, the only thing I want to add is that the light levels that we show there are the minimum requirements from the bank. They use these requirements on all of their banks across the states. So we're trying to get it down as best we can, but that, for safety reasons, that's the lowest it can go.
I mean, who are they bothering?
Nobody, in my opinion.
There's no residents nearby. So.
Yeah.
It's a parking lot. It's expected to be bright. So, all right, very good. Thank you, sir. Any questions for the applicant? It's a common sense thing. I have no problem with. I mean, there are people that are turning their lights off that I wish they'd leave them on. You know, I respect it. It's their power, but safety-wise, that makes sense. Anybody would like a motion on this variance?
Make a motion that the variance be approved.
Okay. Motion's been made. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second's been made. Discussion? Roll call vote.
Mr. DeMoss,
Yes.
Mr. Shup,
Yes.
Mr. Sydow,
Yes.
Mr. Roberto.
Yes. Your appeal has been granted. You don't have to stay for the rest of it, but it looks like it might be exciting, so you might want to stay. All right.
We'll be in touch.
So number 3 in our docket is BZA 24-21, conditional use for property located at 6350 Springdale Road. Does the staff have a presentation?
I do.
Perfect.
Our final case of the evening is BZA 24-21. This is at 6350 Springdale Road. The case type is conditional use, and the parcel is listed on the screen. This is in the R3 residential district, and the applicant is Tyler Mickey. The property owner right now is Faith Tabernacle Church. The applicant is requesting approval of a conditional use for the property located at 6350 Springdale Road. The property is currently being used as a church, and the applicant is requesting a new use of private recreational facility be permitted, also known as, it will be similar to a gym. The property in question being used as a church is legally non-conforming, as the current use predates the initiation of the Colerain Township zoning resolution in 1996. Because of this, no change of use has been filed or conditional use has been filed on this property, and this is the first time a new use is being considered for this lot since it was built, from what I can see, 1993. There are 3 parcels involved in this request, and they are listed on the screen as main, 2, and 3. For the main parcel, the property has been listed for sale for over a year, and as of today, no other churches have made an offer to staff's knowledge to continue the current use on the site. An offer for the new use has been conditionally made by Mr. Minke and depends on the outcome of this case. The applicant would like to use the building and its lot as a private recreational facility to relocate his gym business that's currently located at 7074 Harrison Avenue. In addition to the typical gym and fitness classes that are being proposed for the building on the site, additional uses of a trail and a community garden for members only are being proposed. And the for members only we may talk about with the applicant later. This would utilize more of the site than the current use, and it will likely raise the intensity of the use on the currently non-developed portions of the lot. So that's the main lot you can see in the middle. Lot 2 is north on this picture. It's a small lot just north of the main lot. It's included in the listing of the property. A portion of that lot will become a walking trail, and they'll utilize it in that way, but the majority of the lot will remain undeveloped and unchanged. And Lot 3 is to the south in the picture. It's a small lot that contains a single-family home. It's located just adjacent to the property. It's not really included in this request, kind of, because they plan on using it as a rental house. So nothing gym-wise is going to go there. Nobody's going to be doing Zumba there. So Mr. Minke is planning on using it as a single-family dwelling in the future, doesn't plan to convert the house into space for the proposed private recreational facility. This shows on the map a little bit closer so you can see what these parcels look like. And this shows aerial imagery of what the parcels look like. So this is an expansive 17-acre property. These were provided by Mr. Minke. Again, it's not very useful because the projector's so far away, you have a hard time seeing, but you can see the trail. in both pictures, one with aerial imagery, one drawn on just a flat white surface. And you can see in the middle where you have that colorful image, Mr. Mickey is proposing a garden for members. So we'll have a walking trail, a garden, both in his words to promote a healthy lifestyle. The gym will also be in the building that's currently used as a church. So these are diagrams and they are in your packet. Okay, so Mr. Mickey currently has a business in the township. This is just to show 5 stars on Google, so they make some people happy. They're currently at 74 Harrison Avenue. And that good said, we should also say that there are concerns here that staff has. Spring Leaf Lake Drive here being a cul-de-sac on the end with these homes here are awfully close to that building. Mr. Mickey will show some plans he has to calm the intrusion there if the intensity is raised. The zoning issue we have here is that conditional uses require the approval of the Board of Zoning Appeals. So the Board of Zoning Appeals may impose such conditions and restrictions upon the conditional use if approved, as they deem necessary to comply with standards set forth in this article, zoning resolution, to reduce or minimize the impact of such use upon other properties in the neighborhood, and to further the purpose and intent of the resolution. Staff findings show the conditions that we use to decide whether or not a conditional use is appropriate, and there are 4 of them. The use is conditional use permitted with approval by the Board of Zoning Appeals in the district where the subject lot is located. That's true. The use is in accordance with the objectives of Colerain Township Comprehensive Plan and Zoning Resolution. I think there's mixed arguments there. The conditional use will not substantially and/or permanently injure appropriate use of neighboring properties and will serve public convenience and welfare. It is a business use that is going in a residential area, so we have to say that there's mixed opinions there as well. And 4, the use will not create excessive requirements at public costs for public facilities and services and will not be detrimental to the economic welfare of the community, and I believe that's true. I just want to point out that as a township, the zoning department, when we get a request, we have to hear the case. So that is not a ringing endorsement, and in this case, we don't actually provide we're not going to provide a recommendation. We seek guidance from the board.
Thank you. Any questions for staff?
Yes, I do. Are you,
Is your mic on?
yeah, I was afraid to turn it on. I think we have it fixed now. Okay. Sewer, is the church currently on sewer? I know Spring Lake subdivision is on sewer.
I don't know the answer to that. I'll let Mr. Mickey answer that. We don't have a record of properties that have sewer, so I'm not aware.
Okay.
I'm hearing no.
And on Spring Lake, do we have any knowledge if that sewer system there is adequate for any future development?
As a limited home rule township, we don't do utilities or sewers. That's left to Hamilton County. So I can't comment on what could happen from sewers. I'm sorry.
Okay, that's all.
Any other questions for staff? See none. Is the applicant present? Want to come give your presentation? And just state your name and address for the record, please.
Tyler Menke, and I live at 4153 Sophia's Way, Cleves, Ohio.
Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, can I face out or do I face everyone?
You face the board.
Sure.
I yelled at the last person that faced out. You don't want to do that.
Just a little. This presentation might seem a little informal for this setting, so pardon me for that, but I plan to do the best I can to outline our vision for this. So I am the owner of My Fitness Suites, and on behalf of my wife, I just want to thank you all for coming out here tonight and for being good servants to the community. I would like to share now our vision for the property that currently has the 6350 Springdale Avenue property that's currently housing the Faith Tabernacle Church. So what we will plan to cover, you can go ahead and just click through all 4.
Okay.
So for me, any project has to do with the why. Behind the why you can always see the intent. And so I hope to share, that might be the informal part, but for me it's very important that I share our why, our story, and our mission. The vision, that piece is to highlight what our current model looks like, and I think that will paint a good picture to the board and to the members, those of you in the community that are here present tonight, as to what the future model would look like. Your community, we want to do your community proud, and so I'd like to highlight the how we plan to roll this project out. And in closing the testimony, I recognize some faces in the crowd, and so if there were questions that needed to be raised, I think that there are people here that could probably answer them as well as I could. So let's start with the why. If you could just click through the first one. So you can put all three up there. So that guy there on the left is my dad. I know he's looking down on me as I give this presentation. In 2019, he passed away suddenly from alcoholism. And at that time, I was a heavy drinker myself and in medical device sales. And so I was traveling 250 days a year and white knuckling my sobriety. And so I knew I needed to make a change. That beautiful lady in the middle there with that shirtless son is my wife, Michelle. And she left the mental health industry. She was at Cincinnati Children's at the time. And the two of us decided to pursue a lifelong dream of entrepreneurship with the intent of opening a fitness community that would make our community proud. So with all those good intentions in mind, we both quit our corporate jobs in March of 2020. And if any of you remember about what time frame that was, it was pretty poor timing on our part. It was 4 days later after we had quit our jobs and signed off on paperwork that they shut the world down for COVID. And so we were shaking in our boots a little bit. And God willing, we made it through the build-out process with a few delays, but we opened in October of 2020 to welcoming arms from the community, and we got off to a great start with our new business. Then in November of 2020, our hurdles weren't done yet. So I thought what I had what at the time was a COVID infection, came down with a myriad of ailments, including neuropathies in my hands and feet, nerve issues, heart issues, and about 18 months into visiting specialist after specialist, as the health guy, I had to face the facts that I had no idea what was going on. And lo and behold, a doctor finally tested me for what he suspected would be Lyme disease, and it came back positive. And as an outdoorsman, I found that to be interesting that nobody had tested me up until that point. And so the reason I put these three things up here is because our slogan, grant you, we built that slogan before a lot of this stuff happened, is my body, my mind, and my life. And I think we have all the fuel to drive a project that does a community proud. If you could switch one more. What I didn't know at the time, and this also may not be appropriate for this sort of setting, but it's important to me, the cross. What I came to realize through this process is that God was trying to show us and prepare us in a way that we couldn't be prepared otherwise. He was trying to teach us strength, perseverance. He was trying to get us prepared for what we were going to be doing. And so if I learned anything, it was that the illness taught me not to take my health for granted. The alcohol thing taught me that the only way that we can make big changes is with the help of a higher power. And lastly, when it comes to our mind, the realization that I was not in control was a freeing process. And so for me personally, this is my driver. This is our team. We would be nothing without our team, and therefore I cannot do anything without sharing their beautiful faces. between these 9 people, adding my wife and myself to this board, the 11 of us train people, but we also coach people with health and nutrition. We have a combined 160 years of experience, and we've transformed a lot of lives. So when I look at our mission, healthy body, healthy mind, healthy community, healthy lifestyles, we've transformed a lot of people from a place where they felt hopeless and lost to a place of feeling empowered and excited about their wellness again. We've helped through the course of our yoga programming transform a lot of healthy minds. And since in the 4 years we've been open, we have had a community of people that have rallied around some incredible projects that have helped a tremendous amount of people. So anytime something bad happens in our community, our fitness community steps up to the plate in a big way. So this will just kind of show you a little bit about our current business. So in the upper left corner, you can see the outside of our facility. Currently, we occupy the top 2 windows there, top 2.5. So that's a picture of the outside of our building. We currently lease the space. We're on a 5-year lease, and that's going to be coming due. And so we were trying to figure out whether we were going to continue leasing a property or going to ownership of our own place. And so if you scroll down, that's our strength room right there. That's our yoga room, and that's our lobby. So we operate in about 4,000 square feet currently. As you'll see in a moment, the church itself is 5,200 square feet, so it gives us a little bit more breathing room. We're very tight, everything's just a little bit tight. So if you look at the vision for the future, 3 months ago, it might have been 4 months ago, I was driving down Springdale Road, and I've learned to pay attention to nudges, particularly as my relationship with God has grown closer. I drove by this place, and I recognized it for the first time. I've probably driven by it 1,000 times, and I've never seen that church. It sits back off the road. I hadn't noticed it. For whatever reason that day, I noticed it. I called my wife. I said, I think we're supposed to buy a church. She giggled at me. But I was serious. So I went home and I looked at an aerial of the map, and it immediately jumped out at me. One of the things that we've done, if you've known anyone that's gone through chronic ailments, they'll tell you the importance of diet change. And I had to change my diet dramatically and go to eating a healthier whole food diet. And so we've been bringing in a lot of different whole food options into our current business. And so the idea of being able to teach people and help people have their own garden plot was exciting to us and something we had discussed for our next venture. Secondarily, I grew up on a farm, and if you look at a map of Florence, Kentucky, there is a giant green spot in the middle of it. 300 acres, it still exists. It's in our family. And I just remember all those dead-end subdivisions with signs saying it will lead to future development. I think as a rebel young kid, one time I took one down. What's important to me is the protection and the integrity of land. It always has been important to me. And so if I'm a member of the community, the idea of this becoming subdivision is always something that's bugged me. And so we would be protecting the integrity of this beautiful 17 acres and enhancing the property. So if you look at the right there, one of the things that tends to happen as you have a building that sits vacated is it starts to deteriorate. And so with the current church there being vacated and another church not coming in yet, it's starting to show signs of wear and tear. And so we want to bring this acreage back to life. And so this will just give you a little bit of a vision for what the look and feel would be of the future space. So we plan to make that nature trail, crushed limestone. weaving in and out of those beautiful hardwood trees. And then if you look in the middle picture there, you can see my garden. The idea here is each member would rent a plot that would give them access to deer-free garden. That's the key. So if you've ever grown a garden around here, it's pretty tough. And then enhancing just the overall look and screening of the property is something that, as an owner, I know David and I talked, and he would attest to this. You know, it was one of the things that I came to him with was how can we improve the look of this property and improve the experience for the surrounding neighbors, because we're not changing or adding, we're just enhancing. So the church building's already there, the residential house is already there. We're simply updating and bringing in a different business. So some of the questions that may come about are as it relates to screening of the property and the density and buffering of the property. So if you look at an aerial view of the property, it's pretty well screened from the outside residents as it sits right now. There's a lot of tree line as you drive into the property that shields it. There's really only 2 holes. If you go to the next one, there's 2 holes that we identified. So the family right directly behind the existing church right now, that's Cruz and Michaela. I did not see them out here. The DeGroot family, I spoke to them. We would be painting the outside of the building, so that's going to help a lot. But also they have 1 hole right there. If you go to the right, my landscaping background has me thinking giant green arborvitae because they grow fast and provide a good screening of that 1 hole that is existing currently to shield off from that property. But they were in favor of the project as is, and I just told them we would do our best to make it even better. The second hole is at the cul-de-sac. So everything outside of these 2 places is covered by mature trees and a lot of, unfortunately, honeysuckle as well. But there's good screening everywhere except for those 2 junctures. And so we were proposing adding additional landscaping there to help screen and enhance that. Additionally, if you look at the existing church, as I said, it's starting to show signs of wear and tear. As you could tell from our pictures prior, our gym, we tried to present the location in a way that shows people the amount of care and dedication that we have to this. So we tend to have a high-end look. We're going to improve the outside look and feel of the parking lot with a resurfacing. We're going to paint the outside of the building, paint the roof, and make it look much, much more nicer. As a landscape guy, I also have some plants there too. In closing, our testimony to me is our community. It started with our why, but it ends with what you've done. And we have done a lot for our community, and I would say they've done a lot for us. But recently we had a young guy come in as a member, and I thought of him because he's a youth pastor at Friendship Baptist Church, which is in Colerain Township. And he came in as a member, and he said, I haven't worked out in a long time. I'm out of shape. I need to get in shape for this big mission trip. And I was like, okay. And so when a member comes into our place, we tag team them with all of our expertise, and all they have to do is come in with their stated goal, and we'll help them achieve it. So for him, it was being able to do an 8-day straight hike without problems. And he came back from the trip, and this was his quote: 2 months I spent working out with you guys in preparation for my mission trip really helped me get the Bible's message into some remote areas. I was not sore at all for my 8 days of hiking in the mountains. Thanks again for helping me reach my fitness goals. It's so good to be back. And that's a message that I hear over and over. I don't know about you guys, but There were plenty of times in my life where I did not like exercise, and I definitely didn't like eating healthy. And so to be in a community of people that cares in the way that this community does, it can do a lot of good for a community. And God willing, should this be a project that this community and that this board agrees to, I promise you that my wife and I will do this community proud. And that's what I have for a presentation.
Thank you very much. You can be seated, and we'll come back to you in a moment. You have anyone else speaking in favor of this appeal? Just come on up, give me your name and address for the record. We'll just go and check you off the list here.
My name is Mary Patton Sharp. My address is 3820 Beacon Woods, Cleves, Ohio.
Thank you.
Thank you for letting me speak on behalf of Michelle and Tyler. They mean a lot to me, and I hope I can testify to what they can do. This is difficult for me to talk about, but I promise I'll make it short and sweet. My daughter, CC Sharp, was born in 2017, and she quickly got a sister in 2019. I was living in Texas with my husband when we were transferred back to our hometown, Cincinnati. Our little daughters were a troublesome duo during COVID, and I remember my husband having a beautiful respite during lockdown. It was a gym, My Fitness Suites. It had just opened, and it had an amazing air filtration system that gave everyone some ease during an unprecedented time. That was the beginning of my family's lifetime relationship with Michelle and Tyler, as well as their vision for their community. Fast forward a year and a half later, Cece, my daughter, was diagnosed with a terminal brain cancer at 5 years old. I was in the hospital for only 24 hours with her before Michelle had reached out and asked how she could help. When they say it takes a village, this is what they're talking about. Tyler and Michelle are not just business owners that promote health and physical fitness. They are so much more. They strive to get back to their community in ways I have never thought humanly possible. Without getting too emotional, but I think I've already reached that, what the Mankeys can bring to any table is only goodness. My daughter had her best day ever at an event that was curated by the community this couple has created. Complete with a pink limo and inflatable slides, CeCe's best day ever is a memory we will never forget, made possible through their constant love and support. They strive to help people in every way possible, and that is the greatest gift we can give each other. Trust me, you want the Mankeys and everything they can offer in your life and neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone speaking in favor? If you've signed up, ma'am, you can speak however you want. Can you give your name and address to the record, please?
Fran Schumacher, 6364 Springdale Road.
Thank you.
My husband and I live on the property that is adjacent to this development. And we've lived there for 50 plus years, 51 years. And the peace and the openness is what attracted us to the place. And that would be maintained with this if a subdivision would go in with potentially density like a house on every quarter of an acre. Never mind the dust and the construction and that noise, would just destroy all of that. So I have read their proposal. The hours would not be disruptive or problematic in any way, and my husband and I are in favor of this going forward.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else speaking in favor of this appeal, please come forward and see your hand, sir.
My name is Jerry Lathery.
Let's get up to the podium first and we'll get it on record. Thank you.
Jerry Lathery, 2570 Hidden Acres Drive in Lawrenceburg, Indiana.
Thank you.
I'm a member of the My Fitness Suites, and I'm here to share why I believe the proposed expansion would be a tremendous asset to the community. My Fitness Suites is more than just a fitness center. It's a unique hub for health and wellness. It offers an extensive range of classes from weight training and hot yoga to HIIT and Pilates, tailored to meet the needs of individuals of all fitness levels. Sorry, not a very good public speaker, so I wrote it out.
All right.
And I'm getting older and can't read so well, so I have to.
I'll hold it closer to your face.
What sets My Fitness Suites apart is its commitment to variety and quality, ensuring that every member finds a workout that excites and motivates them. Expanding their operations to include additional land would allow My Fitness Suites to further enhance its offerings and provide even more opportunities for the members to engage in healthy activities. This expansion would not interfere with the peace and quiet of the community, and it will allow My Fitness Suites to accommodate a growing number of dedicated members who are passionate about their health and well-being. These members are committed individuals who value the positive impact My Fitness Suites has had on their lives, and they contribute to the sense of community and support that defines the facility. My Fitness Suites has the potential to make a lasting positive impact on the community, and I would encourage you to consider the significant benefits that they could bring to the neighborhood. Thanks.
Thank you, sir. Anyone else speaking in favor of this appeal, please come forward, ma'am. I see your hand. She got her cheaters on.
Yes, that's right. Hi, I'm Bridget Davis. Address is 3892 Legendary Ridge Lane, Cleves.
Thank you.
All right, so I've been a member of My Fitness Suites since its opening, and I'll tell you that I am someone that's tried many different fitness centers over the years, and I can never find the perfect fit until I found My Fitness Suites. It's very unique in that it provides fitness opportunities for everyone. Guaranteed, anyone, no matter what your age or your fitness level, you're gonna find something there that you can do. You can take classes ranging from yoga, Pilates, boot camp, classes focusing on certain parts of the body, hot classes, weightlifting, even personal training. And nutritional counseling is also available if you would like that. Michelle and Tyler are passionate, honest, and hardworking owners that not only work well with their staff and members, but with the other business owners and community around them. They are always looking for ways to better meet the needs of their members and community. Looking at the plan that Michelle and Tyler have designed for their new fitness facility is an exciting opportunity for this community. I believe that allowing Michelle and Tyler to open this fitness facility in your community will be a great benefit. As a former educator, I've seen the need for children and their families to make connections and to work towards a healthier lifestyle. A fitness center like My Fitness Suites can help with that by offering a place where families can play together, take a walk on the proposed trail, or even take a fitness class geared towards kids or even adults. My Fitness Suites tries their best to support the families that they provide childcare for, so the parents have an opportunity to get involved in the My Fitness Suites community. And it allows them also to model a healthier lifestyle for their children in a safe environment, along with getting a boost in their own physical and mental health. In closing, the benefits of opening My Fitness Suites include giving chances for socialization, exercise, and an overall improved well-being. These in turn will lead to a happier and healthier community.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Anyone else speaking in favor?
My name is Karen Burkmeyer, and I live at 3720 Tango Drive, North Bend, Ohio. It's hard for me to add more than what's already been said, but I agree with all of it. It's a special place that Tyler and Michelle have opened. It's more than, I wouldn't even call it a gym because it truly is a wellness center. And speaking on behalf of the older generation, which I'm one of probably the oldest ones there, I still feel confident in going. They treat me just like anybody else. It's not that, you know, I'm too fragile to do this or that. And so it opens that age group to the whole community that they're embracing now. And the fact of having a garden and a trail, and in going to the facility that they have now, it has never been a disturbance in that neighborhood. There has never been a traffic problem, and I feel it would definitely be an asset and, you know, an opportunity for several more people. The instructors are by far the best I've ever seen. They have top-notch instructors that really care about everybody, and that's what's so important. Because when you work out, you want to feel that they're doing what's best for you. And I think that they exhibit that through their whole staff. So it's, and offer, again, the whole wellness package. So it's a great opportunity for the neighborhood, I think.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
Remind me your name again, ma'am.
Pardon me?
What was your name again?
Karen Berkemeyer?
Did you sign in?
No, but I raised my hand.
I need you to, I need you to sign in though, ma'am. I still need you to sign in for me if you don't mind, just for records.
Okay.
Thank you. It's okay. Anyone else speaking in favor? You guys want to fitness fight it out? Go ahead. Name and address for the record, please.
Sarah Lathery and 2570 Hidden Acres Drive in Lawrenceburg, Indiana.
Thank you.
We don't have anything like My Fitness Suites up where we live. The experience that you get there is so unique. I don't know if any of you have kids playing sports, but you sit in the stands and you see your kids, just darting back and forth, and I'm like, I could so do that if I had someone making me. And that's where Tyler and Michelle and their whole team come in. They really push you to do more, do better. It's such a fun experience. If you're worried about who's going to be pulling in the lot and leaving the lot, the classes are full of police, nurses, medical professionals, executives, just a lot of good people there to do good things. So I just fully support it, and like I said, if they don't do it here, they'll do it somewhere, and it'll be amazing. So, thank you.
Anyone speaking in favor? I saw there was another person back there.
Rick Davis, 3892 Legendary Ridge Lane, Cleves.
Thank you.
I'll be really brief because was a rehash a lot of what everybody said as far as Tyler and Michelle creating a great community. But there's one more point that I wanted to point out, and what isn't My Fitness? When you think of a typical gym, I think you think of like Gold's Gym or even Muscle Beach out in Newport. This isn't that at all. This is strictly a community. It's people. We're not huge bodybuilders. We're not Arnold Schwarzenegger. We're just there to support each other and to really just be the best versions of ourselves. And that's what Tyler and Michelle have created. So again, I think Tyler and Michelle have been good stewards of the community and the spot that they're in. They'll continue the mission as well in this new space. And I in favor, wish you could vote there, grant them the variance for this. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll disagree with you. Jerry Lathery looked like he was pretty buff, so. Anyone else speaking in favor of this appeal? I see none. Anyone speaking in opposition? Please come forward, sir, and name and address for the record.
I'm Joe Schwinn. I live at 8075 Springleaf Drive. It's basically across Springdale Road from
okay, I got you over here. I'm going to move you into the. You're fine. You signed in just on the wrong sheet.
Okay.
Thanks, sir.
Anyway, I live across Springdale from the subject property. My backyard faces that property. Side yard because I'm on the corner. And I have concerns about this being changed into basically a business. The hours of operation they're quoting 5 a.m. would not sit well with a residential community because you're going to have people coming in and out very early in the morning, 4:30. I mean, there's obviously, some concerns with headlights in my in my back windows from the property across the street. The people that live adjacent who spoke earlier for it, they've actually erected a privacy fence along the edge of their property to screen from that existing facility that's there. They didn't mention any screening to help those people out or us across the street, which is hard to do, but it's, the hours of operation are a big concern. Lighting, if they're going to operate the hours they're proposing, they will need to light the driveway, They'll need to light the parking lot, which would be a big concern in a residential area, if not properly designed and screened from the adjacent facilities. Everyone's concerned about light pollution from the traffic. The existing driveway, which they're planning on reusing, the sight lines really aren't that great, because I pull out off of Springleaf Drive onto Springdale, and the sight lines there are terrible. There's always somebody flying up from the eastbound that you really don't see the direction. So I don't know if anybody's looked at how the traffic is going to flow. The geometry of the driveway is bad, excuse me, because any truck that makes a delivery there ends up in my side yard because they have to turn wide to get around to the road based on the geometry of the driveway, which you really couldn't see in their site plan when they were showing the site plan of the facility. The existing signage, which I want to bring up in case you do grant their thing, is non-conforming and does not fit with the residential area. The sign is overly large. I don't believe it would be permitted under the current zoning of the area. I think a 3x8 is the largest, which seems excessive for a residential area. And it's currently unlit, which is good, but if you're going to try to operate the hours they're proposing, you would want that sign lit, which then again increases the light pollution in a residential area. I touched briefly on screening. I think they need to do some screening for some of the other neighbors, not just adjacent to the building. There should be some screening along their drive if they're and their parking lot if they're planning on using that. And one of the things they mentioned in their thing was we're comparing themselves to Soccer City, and obviously Soccer City is a bigger business than this. But if you've ever been through when Soccer City is letting out or beginning a session, you can't get past it on Springdale Road. So I don't know. I mean, they're talking 20 to 30, but obviously they're planning on expansion if you're buying this piece of land and adding the amenities. So Springdale Road is difficult as is. It's a reliever road for 275 and one of the main ways across Colerain Township. So additional traffic is not good on that. And having listened to the presentation, when I was discussing this with my neighbors, they were sort of for it when that was going to be a public recreation trail, and now it's a members recreation trail, and they talked about it being a public garden in the space, and now they've changed that. And to be honest, they also talk about 64 houses, and that's currently zoned R3, which is half-acre lots, and you could probably get 24 on there once you put a road in. So it's not as dense as the thing made it out to be. And where is private recreation defined in the zoning code? I could never find that today when I was looking for it. Is there any definition?
We'll get clarity for that. That'll be one of the questions we'll ask.
Yes, I would like some clarity on private recreation. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone speaking in opposition? Come on in.
David Dragonoff, 6487 Springdale Road. We're about 2/10 of a mile west of the proposed property, or the property change. Been there 27 years. I'd like to start off by saying the people that are looking to do this seem to be very nice people and got a good mission, and deserving people to run a business. But we are a residential area. We appreciate living in that area. As was discussed earlier, Springdale has become more and more congested, and we run into issues getting in and out of our driveway on times that the highway's backed up, or going up and down with Soccer City, and having people coming in and out at even earlier hours of the day and evening. We're just not set up for that, and that's not where we want to be living. That's why we did purchase where we purchased. The other major concerns I have is running a business is a very difficult thing to do. I've done it myself. It sounds like all the proposals that they have will be a substantial outlay, and with all those things comes a lot of risk. So with this zoning change, if this proposal doesn't work for them and their business fails, then we've got a zoning change for retail that then makes it for somebody else to come in and do something totally different than what they have. So looking down the road of the what ifs and the possibilities, and basically I think that's why we have the zoning laws, to keep things from turning into something that they're not supposed to or not intended to be. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone want to speak in opposition? Too slow.
Andrew Demeropoulos, 6574 Springdale Road.
Thanks, sir.
I have absolutely not a problem with their program, their mission. I wish them all the luck of the world. The question is how that gentleman just finished. If they fail, what can go on there next? What's the limitations when you change the zoning? I don't want to see a retail business store in there. I don't want to see an entertainment system or entertainment facility that becomes a place for weddings and receptions and parties, where I have bands playing till 2 and 3 o'clock in the morning going down through the valleys. That's my biggest concern. I don't understand what that next step is. If they fail and they sell it to somebody else, is there restrictions that it has to stay just as it is? Or can they turn around and just sell it to whoever, because now it's a business? That's my biggest concern.
And we will address that.
Thank you.
Thanks, sir. Anyone else speaking in opposition? I saw the young lady. There you go.
I am Kathy Dragonoff. I live at 6487 Springdale Road. I think they are lovely people. I appreciate what they're doing and their mission statement and everything else. I've coached for 35 years, anywhere from 2-year-olds through high school level. I really appreciate the health aspect of it. I still coach now. My problem is I'm a 54-year resident of Colerain Township. I do have a problem with the zoning variance and the zoning change for the reasons stated. One, I would hate to see them fail, but if they do, what's going to happen? 2, we're a 2-lane road. Sight distance is an issue. 275, if there's an accident, we're a racetrack or a parking lot at this point. Getting in and out of the driveway is a problem. Lighting is a concern. If they're coming in to run a business at 5 a.m., I'm up and awake because I'm going to work. I teach. But people that live adjacent to them, that's a huge problem. I'm going through my list here. The intensity of use seems great now. A variance on the property could cause an issue. Lived in the township for so long. The residential housing development, if it would become something like that, what would the density of the houses be? We're half-acre lots, we're septic, not sewer. So if they come in, I would like to know if something happens there, what the density would be on the houses, out of curiosity. When they are in the process of this, just the number of cars in and out, how many classes are offered at a time. They have quite a staff. The expertise is amazing, but once again, we're in the neighborhood. The people that spoke, except for one couple who I'm friends with and familiar with, don't live in our township. We had Cleves, Lawrenceburg, and North Bend. They are not residents of our township. So those are my questions on everything that came up. Thanks.
Thank you. Anyone else speaking in opposition? I still have quite a few people on the list that haven't spoke, so we've got Betty Hartman. You want to speak, ma'am?
My name is Terry Hibbard, and I live at 6496 Springdale.
Thank you.
Andy's neighbor. I just want to say that I agree with all the things that my neighbors have said, and that these lovely people do have a great vision. But I moved out there in 1973 and have seen a lot of growth. I think we've have enough growth out there, and like to see it stay more residential. But whatever, I wish you the best with your business, whether it be here or elsewhere.
Thank you, ma'am. Is Ms. Hartman here? Plan on speaking? Betty Hartman? No, ma'am? Okay. How about Nick Davis? No? How about Tyler Mintke? We already spoke. You spoke. Dan Johns? Sure.
Name's Dan Johns, 8225 Springleaf Lake.
Thanks, sir.
We're 3 doors from the side of the building. You brought up, Mark, about sewer earlier. I was a plan reviewer for MSD a long time ago. They currently are not on sewer. They have a septic tank or on-site treatment in the back near the expressway, or before it goes down the hill. Back, thinking early 2000s, they asked to get into the sewer. The closest sewer is sewer lid next to house next to the church. We granted availability for the church because it was low flow and subject to getting an easement and signing a waiver for assessment. That expired a year later. They never did tie in. So, I'm not sure if I'm for or against it. I just wanted to clarify the sewer situation as of earlier today. I haven't seen any French in the last 20 years, so I don't know. They're not in there. The traffic right there, it is tough getting out of that driveway. The church let us park in there for parties. When I park our spare cars in there, it's tough taking a left out of there. Also, that is a blind spot. You're screeching often, you know, coming from east to west, right before John, who lives there on the, you know, next to the driveway, right there, you hear that often. Like I said, I'm not sure if I'm for or against, but really the sewer.
Thanks, sir. All right, I'm gonna just go back down the list again, just make sure I've caught everybody. Betty Hartman said no. Nick Davis, no, I never saw. Is there a Nick Davis in here? Might have been the guy that left. And everyone else has spoken that I have signed up on this list. I want to make sure they didn't sign up. Nick Staffinger, did you? You signed up 2 spots. You were really on it. All right, thank you. All right, I see no other one that wants to speak. Can we close the public portion or have a motion to do so?
Make a motion to close the public portion?
Mark's made a motion to close the public portion. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Second's been made. Any discussion? I see none. Roll call vote.
Mr. DeMoss?
Yes.
Mr. Shupp?
Yes.
Mr. Sydow? Mr. Roberto?
Yes. Give you a break. I'll go to Mr. Sydow's side this time, all right? Mr. Sydow, you have any questions for the applicant or anyone that spoke?
No, sir, I don't. Everybody spoke their mind, and I have no further questions.
Okay. Mr. Shupp?
There's a lot to consider here.
Mm-hmm.
Quite a lot to consider here. Would this be something that we would want to consider tabling?
Would that be fair to the applicant?
Bring up a good point. Probably not. No. I withdraw that.
You want me to come back to you? You think about it?
I've thought about it.
Any questions for the applicant or anyone that spoke?
No, I'm just very compelling everywhere.
Mr. Moss?
I have no questions.
Okay. Well, I'm going to address them. So the applicant can come forward, please. You've heard some concerns from the neighbors. And so we're going to talk through these and see what your plan is. So one, is there intent to expand on the acreage that you have to make a larger facility?
No.
Okay. Hours are the hours. I don't know what we can do about that. The lighting, you're not adding lighting. You're going to use existing lighting that was on the property?
Correct.
And we're going to make some assumptions that the photometrics on that are already in compliance, but we don't know that.
Probably pretty low.
Yeah. Traffic, there's nothing you can do about traffic, other than what is your membership population? I guess would be the question that.
Yeah, so the easiest way to look at our traffic is it's very predictable, because with a typical gym, you have an inflow and an outflow of people throughout the course of maybe a 24-hour period, whereas we're class-based. So our classes operate either 10 to 20, and we never have two classes going at the same time. So they're split. That's just how we've operated since we're opening. So you may have 20 cars coming or going. The volume throughout any given day, it depends on the classes. So on the busiest day when we have 10 classes, there may be 120 people from split out over those 10 to 12 classes. So we tend to run one at 5 a.m., 5:30, and then we'll have a break for that period of time where people are getting for school and heading for work. And then we have a mid-morning class from like 8:30, 9:30, 10. We usually have a noon class for people who have that lunch hour. And then we're closed again until we open for the evening. And then we run from 5 to 7:30. So it's very predictable. On the weekends, we're open from roughly 7 to 11. So it's a shorter operation. So our class volume, our membership volume is roughly 100 a day, but spread out over numerous different hours.
Okay. Signage. Staff, can you address that as far as the current sign? Is it out of spec?
Can I first say that I heard it mentioned this is a variance and a zone change, and it's a conditional use, and that matters with signage because it probably is, and it probably wouldn't meet the current residential conditional use sign standards, and it might not meet our new ones. That's an analysis that would have to be done. You can make a condition that signs are moved and one that fits code is constructed, or you can make other requirements such as a 5-foot landscape radius around the sign to lower the intensity of the signage, and certain other requirements about lighting. So there are ways to make a bigger sign less intense, or you can require the applicant to remove the sign and put one up that is conforming. To answer your question, it's probably not conforming.
Okay, thank you. So the zoning variance runs with the land, but in this case, if someone else came in and wanted to do a different use, they would have to change the use, wouldn't it?
Yeah, there's a use variance. That's not what we're seeking here because of the way it was in the use table. It is a conditional use in that neighborhood. So just to explain a little bit, a variance runs with the land forever in perpetuity. So if I get a variance for a 30-foot sign, in 50 years, someone else could come build a 30-foot sign. But when you have a conditional use, we are saying your use as a private recreational facility is allowed there. Not retail, not anyone who wants to be there, not any business use, a private recreational facility. And if that use is discontinued for 2 years, they would have to come back. If somebody wants to come open a gas station there, they would have to come here and ask. So it's not a permanent use variance. It's a conditional use specifically for a private recreational facility.
And that brings up the other point. Someone said that they couldn't find that in the regs. How are you classifying a private recreational facility? Where is that falling in the category of in our current zoning?
It's not something that we have defined to my knowledge. So I would make a determination as a zoning administrator that that's what it is. And it could be personal service as a gym. If it was just a standard, anyone come and go gym, I would call it a personal service. But with this instance, with the trail, with the garden, I think it is more between a club and a recreational facility than it is simply a for-profit Gold's Gym kind of business.
Okay. And can you clarify on R3, that this is truly zoned in R3, how many homes, by your estimation, could fit into that?
I respect the question a lot. It is pointless to answer because it's not going to be an R3 for much longer because we're changing our zoning designations. So it's going to be a single and two-family residential STR. That will be the zone I believe that it's in. And if you'd like, while you have further discussion, I can answer the question of how many single-family homes could go in STR once that's approved.
I just to give the audience a perspective of what potentially could be versus what it is now.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll look it up for everyone.
Yeah, I appreciate that. So I think I can answer the public trail versus the private trail. We went through the same experience with our church. We wanted to have a volleyball court in our land. We filed it with zoning as a public, and it put a whole wrinkle of things and requirements that have to happen. You have to have special bathrooms. You got to have all these special things for a public entity versus a private. So if it's a club or if you're a member, those restrictions go away. And am I speaking correctly on that? I'm sorry, you weren't listening to me. So that's what I'm sensing has happened here. Rather than being open to the public, you have to make it private. Otherwise, there's all these governmental restrictions go on these guys that have to meet in order to make it public. And if you're going to talk, you have to come up to the podium. Okay. But we actually closed the public portion. I'll ask you a question, and then we can do it that way. So there's that. So as far as there's concern about your members getting in an accident. So I don't know. You can't change the roads, but is there a way to change visibility? Nothing changed. Okay. So there's nothing going to be a change there. It is what it is. How many people were attending this church before?
I was going to ask you if you knew the max occupancy of the church. I would think 50 to 70, maybe some of the neighbors know. Just to answer your question about the number of homes, if we assume that 75% of the land would have a home and the other 25 would be either open green space or roads, you could fit a little over 70. Okay. With our new regs at 7,500 square feet a lot.
So that's something to consider, guys. You're thinking this is going to be more invasive, but what could go in there is a development that could put all these homes in there. Now you got 70, and they're not going to be one car per 70. It's going to be at least two cars. So now you've got 140 cars that are going to be going in and out every day on those in and outs. So it's just something to consider as when we're making our thought process, why we're making thought processes. And I hear you, and trust me, I'm listening to what you're saying, and I'm trying to address each of these concerns that you have, because I sense that these guys want to be a good corporate and community citizens. So it's, hours are not going to change. What else we got here? I'm going to run my notes. Sewer. Is there an intent to tap into the sewer system?
My understanding was it's a holding tank that we would get pumped every month.
Which is a septic system.
So it's a septic system. So this is out of my wheelhouse. If we could do that and it was
it's going to be
better.
It's going to be a cost to you. But what it does is it alleviates some of the concerns that your community may have. When it fails,
they're
going to know it failed.
Right.
Yeah. Everyone around you will know it failed, and you don't want it to fail.
And I don't know enough to know it might be to our benefit to
At some point, I think it would. It would help the value of the property as well. And this is not stipulation, right now, we're just talking through things so that the audience understands and can hear how you would respond.
Can I make one other comment as it relates to the property itself?
Sure.
So it was listed, we didn't have intent of doing anything that was going to even generate this meeting. It was listed as commercial, and improperly. And so when I approached David Miller initially, he was the one that broke it to me that it's actually not. So we didn't mean to evoke all these concerns.
Well, I think they're good concerns.
Yeah.
They care about their community.
Absolutely,
So that
100%.
should be bode well as they're going to care what's
100%,
there.
100%.
So the other concerns that they had and viability. So we've already addressed it as far as what the use could be. There is going to be a lot of expense here. You guys have. I'm assuming you've budgeted for all these improvements and changes that you want to put in place. Do you have a time frame that you plan on doing these things?
Yeah. I mean, I have my MBA, so my background is in business, and if we were to construct a building like this on land that we purchased, we would be out of budget. So finding something that was existing that gave us the footprint to be able to do what we're talking about is not something that just pops up everywhere. So I've already, nickeled and dimed this thing from a business model standpoint to make sure it could work.
Okay. And then you heard some of the issues with headlights. You're not going to be able to do anything about that. You're already taking care of some screening. Were there did you go around the neighborhood and ask if there were any other neighbors concerned about screening?
I talked to the two people that at a certain point I started feeling like I was being intrusive, like this random guy showing up at your front door.
I get it.
But I wanted to at least get in contact with the two most neighboring. So the Groots are the house that's directly by it, and they were in favor of it. He was hoping that he could come tonight. They bought the property knowing that church is like right there. And so the idea of it being a residential property for him was, the biggest concern. He liked the idea that it would stay woods. But I had spoken to him about, we're going to make it look better. We're going to do right by you. We're going to make it look better. Because right now it's starting to look like an eyesore. The longer it sits there, I think the more it will.
And then I noticed, there was some mention about you doing a rental of one of the. Is there a house on the property?
Yeah. So if you picture a property where you've got a church, historically you may have a pastor, and so it's my understanding that was the pastor's house at one time. So part of the business model was to offset the cost by renting that. Ideally, we would rent it to one of our staff or managers. Then we have somebody on site. But if that's not, something that any of them go for, being able to rent that out would give us the ability to offset the difference in costs.
And then you mentioned in your plan to do a walking trail with limestone. So there is going to be some heavy duty equipment that's going to go back there at some point. So are you going to make sure that then is dust and so forth is kept to a minimum? Accomplish that?
I'm picturing Bobcat.
Okay.
So not anything more substantial.
You're going to
than
bring
that.
dump trucks in to get that much limestone. So it's.
Yeah, you're gonna have the limestone dump for sure. Yeah.
Okay.
But I don't foresee it being a construction process that would be very intrusive because it's almost entirely aesthetic. So.
Very good. I don't have any other questions. Have I sparred any questions from anybody else?
I think you did a good job answering them. Get them answered.
Does anyone want to make a motion? You can go sit down now. Okay. Thank you.
Did you want to set, gentlemen?
Oh, sir, I guess I have a question for you that I need to answer. So do you have a question that? Come to the podium if you don't mind, and I'm showing special liberties here because public portion has been closed.
I'm sorry, you sounded like you were. I'm Joe Schwinn.
Yes, sir.
What I understand that, you know, public and private entities, I was in a public job for a number of years. But, you know, when the original presentation materials were sent out, they mentioned that this was going to have certain public amenities, which made some people more in tune with, you know, not wanting to, you know, they thought it was great to have public amenity to be able to walk.
So specifically, you'd like the walking trail part to be able to access that?
I'm not sure I would. I'd get killed crossing the road.
Okay.
And I realize you're, you know, when I was discussing the driveway, you can see the angle it's meeting right there. One of the conditions could be to have that driveway meet the road at a 90-degree angle instead of the current angle, because, like I said, people have trouble turning left out of that driveway with the angle it's at.
Okay.
So, just. Well, there was.
Well, talk to Hamilton County about that, because that's a Hamilton County road. And, I mean, Colerain Township didn't have anything over that. So what you're suggesting is to the right of the driveway, if they could make some adjustments there, that would alleviate the visibility and getting in and out of the driveway.
Yeah, it would help to come, but it decreases the blind spot. Yeah. Yeah, that's why
The reaction time is
because
way
the
down.
blind spot starts about where spring leaf comes in. So it gives you longer putting it down there to adjust. The closer you come east with it, then you shorten that distance.
So it's where it is because of the blind spot.
Yes.
Okay. But if they widen it or give a little more wider turn in there, that might help them get out of the driveway. So.
That would be good, yeah.
So you're hearing some feedback, and I think that's a great suggestion. No one has made a recommendation. I'm chairman. I can't make a recommendation, so I have to let these guys make it, and so that's why I'm begging them to make a recommendation.
Mr. Roberto, may I say
Yes.
that when I made the recommendation of no recommendation, one of the things you lose in that is the ability to put conditions. So you guys could and should probably consider conditions when you make your recommendation if it's to approve.
Well, let me ask this from a board perspective. Do you have any conditions that you would recommend if this were to move forward?
Oh, me?
Yeah, you.
Yeah, you.
You're the expert.
I thought you were asking the board.
I mean, I can make all kinds of recommendations, but I don't know that it would, fly. So, I mean, I have free memberships for all the neighbor.
And me.
I don't know that he would appreciate that. So I mean,
One thing that I had considered was the angle of the driveway. As a former truck driver before I was a planner, I know that any kind of truck going into there will be difficult, and regular cars turning onto Springdale with that angle could have some sight and visibility issues. So a condition that would require the applicant to consider those sight and visibility issues, such as making a wider apron there, which raises a problem with Public Works. But this is not a
that would be
Colerain Township road. So yeah, so contingent upon permission from Hamilton County.
Right.
I think that a wider apron there, maybe perhaps widening the driveway and screening the upper part of the driveway are great conditions. I would absolutely put the condition of the screening that he showed, Springleaf Lake around the cul-de-sac, and between the arborvitaes he had mentioned between the home and the former church.
So if we say add screening as the applicant has presented?
Yes, that would be perfect.
I'm making notes here.
Okay. And I would recommend a five foot landscape radius around the monument sign, which will be required in our new code anyway if that were built today.
And we can just say meet current code as of September, or that has to be voted on still?
We don't know that it will pass, so I would specifically just say 5 foot landscape radius.
From landscape, okay.
Did we get the one about the visibility on the curb? Was that the first one you put on there?
I'm still writing.
Gotcha.
I'm not as proficient as you are writing things down quickly. So widening the driveway.
Yeah.
Apron.
I have a question for David.
Go ahead, please
Mr.
answer.
Shop?
I'm just really confused on the sign. Are we gonna use the same footprint there? We're gonna use the current code?
What I would recommend is, since it's a legally non-conforming sign that has some value in the value of the property, I would allow the applicant to keep that sign. I don't think that the intensity on the property is going to be through the sign, but I would calm that a little bit by requiring a landscape radius, so we don't just have a naked monument sign in the middle of grass. So we require some flowers and bushes around that monument sign, as the applicant did show in his renderings. So I think that should absolutely be a requirement.
Currently, there's not any lighting on that sign, correct?
I have not taken a look at
remember
the
seeing
way
it when I
it's
drove by
lit.
it, so I don't believe there was. The applicant, do you know if there's any lighting on the current sign?
I'm not certain.
Ma'am, you got
We
it?
live next door,
And-
and the light, the sign is there. It is able to be lit, but for many months, they have not spent electricity lighting it.
Okay, so there is some lighting capabilities.
There
that-
is lighting available, but
Right.
there's a lot of lighting already. They were required to put a big spotlight up, a street light up, that focuses on their driveway. So we've had that light for years.
Okay.
And there's a light on the end of the church that faces our house, also for security reasons. And we've been living with that for years. Yeah, light pollution is an issue no matter where you live.
I purposely put light on my house because I want people I want to see people creeping around
We
my
don't
house.
even
I know,
worry
so.
about it because we got the spotlight now right at the foot of our driveway.
Well, is it a problem for you though, as a car?
Okay, it's a street light. Saying it's a street light, but it's a, whatever.
All right. But it's not, is it creating you issues if you can't sleep or anything, ma'am?
Yeah,
All right.
yeah, we have drapes, blinds or.
Well,
whatever, and when
to be fair, I mean, I've got a neighbor that has one of these lights that, it's a multi-directional light, and it's like the sun in one of our rooms, and it's an illegal light. Now, have I shot it with a gun yet? No, but, I mean, I could, but, no, I wouldn't. But if it's that sort of thing, we can go make that a condition that it'd be
No, I
corrected.
mean, it's not, and we've been living with it for years. I
Okay.
mean, we have a drape, we pull the drape at night when we go to sleep, it's not an issue. I don't see 5 AM being an issue with with some car lights and whatever. The drapes are pulled if we're not up.
Mr. Shop,
I see that.
did I answer your question sufficiently?
Yes.
Okay.
What was this question? I forgot.
About signage and what the recommendation.
Sorry. No, squirrel came in the room and I got distracted. All right, so far, I mean, and this is just so that you guys can think about it for a motion. Add screening, do we need to add screening as the applicant has submitted in the presentation? We need to make a condition that they do a 5-foot landscape radius around the current signage, that they apply to have the driveway widened, have the apron widened for higher visibility and easier access. That'll be with Hamlin County. And the driveway light was sufficient, you said, so no issue there. All right.
Yes, I had 4, what you just mentioned.
You guys write that down enough, or do I need to repeat it? so
Yeah,
we
I
can
think
repeat it?
you're clear. I think the main concern was that if something goes wrong, that it will just remain a private recreation, so it is not a business. I think that's what.
Correct. It can only.
The use has to be the use that we're deeming it today. It cannot be anything, it can't be a restaurant, it can't be retail. It would have to come back before the board, because it's a conditional use, not a variance of any of the buildings or any of that structure. They're all existing.
And this is not a zone change.
And it's not a zone change, but the zone changing is coming in the future.
Yes, for the whole township. Sorry, I know that's complicated.
No, it's good that the public is aware.
Yeah.
So that they understand that what the potential could be versus what it is now. It's gonna stay more of a park, guys. I mean, honestly, if I'm your neighbor, that's what I want. I'd rather have 100 people going in and out than 140 and all the other stuff that's gonna go with, putting homes in. You guys kinda have a nice park. I think personally, you talk to your neighbors and maybe they get permission to walk the trail. Yeah, so it's not a public thing.
No record.
We're gonna make them a member somehow so they can walk that trail. All right. Guys, you guys need to make a recommendation so we can get out of here tonight.
Okay. I'll make a motion to approve it for private recreational facility with the conditions of the 5-foot landscaping around the sign to widen the driveway. And the screening is mentioned by the applicant.
Okay. Motion's been made. Any second?
I'll second.
Second's been made. Any discussion? Staff, you good with that?
Did you say the landscape radius around the sign?
That was the first thing you said.
Okay, wasn't sure.
So
Yes.
I would like for you to repeat that so that we have it on.
We were writing it down. So the recommendation is for approval of the 6-foot landscape radius around the signage and the screening as shown in the presentation that Mr. Mankey gave tonight. And the driveway widening at the street in a way that will be approvable by Hamilton County.
Perfect. You caught it, and we got it repeated, so that's,
Yeah.
Robert rules, we're good. All right, so now, no discussion, we can actually call for a roll.
The public hearing's over, sir, I'm sorry.
We'll have to talk about it after the fact, sir, thanks, sir. We're going to vote, so you guys can roll call.
Mr. DeMoss?
Yes.
Mr. Shup?
Yes.
Mr. Sydow? Mr. Roberto?
Yes. So the motion carries. They will allow the use there, so you now can continue on with the purchase of the property. Keep in mind the expenses here that we've mentioned, the landscaping, which it didn't seem like a big deal, the screening you were already gonna do, the driveway, that might be a little budget for. All right, next on our agenda, someone give me an agenda so I can see it. We have unfinished business is none. We need approval of minutes. We have several minutes that need to be approved. Do we have a motion to approve? I think it's May, June, July, August?
We have April, May, June, July.
April, May, June, and July.
I move we approve the minutes.
Okay, motion's been made. Do we have a second?
Second motion.
Second, roll call vote, please.
Mr. DeMoss?
Yes.
Mr. Shup?
Yes.
Mr. Sydow? Mr. Roberto?
Yes. Next meeting is scheduled for September 25th. Do we have a case?
We have at least 2 cases.
Okay.
I understand there may be some absences and we'll deal with that, so.
Very good. Administrative matters, I see none.
Can I just mention that we have our 2 new planners, Juliana Petty and Maggie Klein from Miami University.
Okay, very good.
Juliana will be joining us at BZA every month.
Okay, we can adjourn, so I need a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Motion's been made, seconded? Second been made, discussion?
Don't we have discussion?
No discussion? Roll call vote?
Mr. DeMoss?
Yes.
Mr. Shup?
Yes.
Mr. Sydow? Mr. Roberto?
Yes, meeting adjourned.